Welcome to the Rotary Club of Beaumont, the 72nd club founded in the world, where our members serve to change lives. Those on Zoom, Ted, I'm looking at you. Mute your microphone. Please take a minute now to check in on your Facebook page. You know, our executive director, Jackie Chapman, hasn't always been in charge. There were others before the era of Jackie began 10 years ago. In 1947, Laurice Bueller accepted the position of executive secretary on a half-time basis. Soon she was working 12 hours a day. For 20 years, she guided the club from the Rotary office on the mezzanine of the Hotel Beaumont. Laurice has been described as one of the most impeccably dressed career women who knew everyone in Beaumont and everyone in Beaumont who was someone, and made sure that Wednesday meetings at Hotel Beaumont were executed in the same fashion. Inevitably, Miss Bueller was swept away in marriage to Rotarian John Thomas, and Laurice decided to retire after 20 years of service to the club. So in 1967, the club's good fortune was to recruit Rotarian Jack Dahmer's sister-in-law, Margaret Cherb, from Dallas to Beaumont, to be what Laurice had been to the club. For almost 30 years, Margaret was all of that and more. She has been described as the heart and soul of our club. She was known to be bubbly, cooperative, and wise. Does that sound familiar to you? Yes, may good fortune remain on our club as we search for an executive director like Laurice, like Margaret, like Jackie. Remembered fondly for the exceptional professionalism and dedicated to the Rotary ideal. Joining us at the head table to lead our invocation, Gig Langston, he's past district governor of District 5910, pledges by Virtue Alexander, grant writing manager, communities and schools. The introduction of guests by D. Lane, senior commercial sales, Vector Security. Gig.
Fellow Rotarians, join me in prayer. Today we pray that we receive your special blessing because we are committed to be a real service organization to help mankind. May each of us in our daily routine come to know the joy of caring and sharing with others, not as fortunate as we are. May our motto that includes serving, caring, and sharing be for us life and service. Amen.
Please join me in saying our pledge to our American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. And to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the one state, God, one and indivisible.
As I call out the guest and the Rotarian host, please stand. We have Josh Allen Sr. with the speaker, Taylor Neild with Sherry Pierce, Ben Walker with Jaquetta Walker, Ross here with Chuck here, and Matt Uding with Uliana Trails last. I just screwed that up. I knew I would.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you all. And introduction of our new member, Joanne Brown, President-elect. Joanne.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. This is an exciting day. We have a wonderful person joining our ranks. Shelby Brannon was nominated by Deborah Drago. Shelby is the Executive Director of the Beaumont Heritage Society. Shelby was born in Beaumont. She was raised in Vidor. She has a record of service, knows that Rotary does too, and she's looking forward to meeting members, wonderful members. She's unsure until she learns more exactly where she'd like to plug in for Rotary. So please approach her. She has a lot to offer. She has skills in theater and also media relations. She loves acting. She has a background in theater and dance. She has a dachshund named Izzy, who she loves. And she has a media company with her best friend, Kara Timberlake. Please join me in welcoming Shelby Brannon.
Thank you, Joanne, and welcome to the club. You know, as I've referred to, the executive search is on for the new executive director, and the position has, the announcement is on our website, so be sure to share it with your friends. Anyone you think might share the Rotary passion that you have and would be ideal executive director. We're accepting the resumes until close of business on October 27th. So we're on a fast track, so don't delay, get the word out. And you should know that this search process is open completely. There's been not anyone has been identified for this position. If you're interested yourself, please apply or share the information with someone you know who is qualified and would be a good match in our mission of service. We have a special presentation today, past District Governor Roger McCabe, for Paul Harris Fellows and Paul Harris Society. Roger?
Brad wasn't here during the era of Margaret Sherb. No third grade nun could bring you to your knees quicker if you messed up. But if you go to various Rotary meetings, they talk about the difference between a member of a Rotary club and a Rotarian. And it's when you decide that this organization is doing something right and it's doing what I want to participate with, I want to be a part of, and they're doing it well and they're doing it efficiently, I want to support them, is when you become a Rotarian. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen on the first meeting, the first year necessarily. It can take years. But at that point, you decide, I want to make Rotary one of the areas where I contribute money to support their programs. Our vehicle is the Rotary Foundation. It's large. It spends about $300 million a year. It collects about $300 million a year. It is the annual fund that we give to primarily. If we don't give to the annual fund, we give to the Polio Plus Fund. They all go together. This is different than our Beaumont Rotary Foundation. It's got about $300,000 or $400,000 in it. We use it as a vehicle to make charitable contributions to go to the Rotary Foundation. The Rotary Foundation is recognized as being efficient. Charity Navigator gives it a 4-star rating. That's the highest that you can get as a charitable organization. 91% of the money that you give to the Rotary Foundation goes into the programs. Only 9% goes for fundraising and administration. We're a volunteer organization. That's one of the reasons that number can be so high. The Rotary Foundation basically gives money for district grants and global grants. The district grants are, in our case, the Nicaraguan layettes for the children. That's how we spend the money. We get $2,500 from the foundation. We match it with $2,500 from ourselves. We give money down in Nicaragua. A lot of other programs are global grants. They deal with 6, 7 areas of interest: maternal and child care, disease eradication, water and sanitation, education, peace, business development, and the environment. By far, the biggest one of those is disease eradication. About $150 million is spent in form of grants by the foundation each year. We can participate in that as a sharing grant. Dana is working on one right now in Honduras that may come to fruition. But the people who give money to the foundation can give in small increments that accumulate. On your table are a bunch of forms called Rotary Direct. You can provide for a contribution to the Rotary Foundation for as little as $10 a month. That meets your obligation of every Rotarian every year, $100 a year to the foundation. You can, those are cumulative. And when you have given $1,000 to the foundation, you become a Paul Harris Fellow. And we are honoring the Paul Harris Fellows today. Wes, you and I are going to work together on awarding the Paul Harris Fellows to the people who have earned them this year. This is $1,000 for the first year. And when I say +2, +3, that means this is their third $1,000, $4,000 that they are committed to the work of Rotary. Mary Ellen Robertson is not here, I don't believe. Mary Ellen, they told me you weren't here. Please come up. Please come up. Mary Ellen has earned her first Paul Harris Fellow, and we thank you. Paul Harris Fellows +2, Deborah Drago, Jeff Hare, John Lee, Victor Zaloom. All are Paul Harris Fellows +2. Paul Harris Fellows +3, Pat Anderson, Rebecca Maxwell. Paul Harris Fellows +4, Fred Christensen. And Paul Harris Fellows +5 are Vernon Pierce. Sherry is going to accept it for Vernon. If, as a contributor to the foundation, you are willing to make a commitment that as long as you are able, for the indefinite future, you will contribute $1,000 a year to the foundation. That makes you eligible for Paul Harris. We want to give that to Sherry. I skipped a line. Sherry, you are here for Vernon. You're also here for yourself. Sherry is getting her first Paul Harris Fellow. My apologies, I missed a line. Thank you, Wes. Rebecca's here. John's here. For those people who are willing to make a commitment to give $1,000 a year to the Rotary Foundation, you can earn the status of being a member of the Paul Harris Society. That comes with wings like I am wearing. We have several members of the Paul Harris Society. Arne Almquist is a member. Cindy Cherry is a member. Gig Langston, past district governor. Becky Mason, Rebecca Maxwell, Sharon and I, and Ted Moore are all members of the society. We have 2 new members of the society, which we are bringing up at this time to award. Are you going to do it, Cindy, or is Becky? Becky? Becky is giving our 2 new members these chevrons, wings, whatever you want to call them. Wes Shipley is a member of the Paul Harris Society, newest member. And our another newest member is Jay Wilson. The form is on the table. You can take it home, fill in a credit card, Rotary Direct, happens There's nobody in this room that cannot afford $10 a month. If you want to give more than that, there's plenty of space on here to increase it. $85 a month is your contribution to a Paul Harris Society membership. Please give it consideration for sustaining the good works that Rotary Foundation does. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Now to talk to us about World Polio Day, Dana Tomatis. You have 3 seconds.
I knew that was going to happen. So this much information in this much time. Some of the good work that the Rotary Foundation does is polio vaccination, aimed toward polio eradication. The polio fight started years and years and years ago. Rotary's done a lot of good work, knocked down polio quite a bit. And things got better and better and better and better and better up to about 2015 where they plateaued. Number of countries became polio free. 2 countries, Pakistan and Afghanistan, not so much. Polio rebounded in Pakistan and Afghanistan significantly, 2018, 2019. But even with wars and pestilence and everything else, the work continued. As of 2020, those are the only 2 countries where wild polio virus is still being transmitted, diagnosed and reported. In 2020, Afghanistan had 56 new cases, Pakistan at 84. This year, through wars, pestilence, everything else that's going on over there, people have continued to vaccinate in those countries. And in Pakistan, there's 1 case, new case. This is Afghanistan. This is taken in March of 2019, where a person who suffered polio is vaccinating to end that suffering in the next generation. In Afghanistan this year, 1 case, 1 new case. In June this year, June 15, in Nangarhar province in Afghanistan, there was an episode, 3 episodes, 3 attacks, coordinated, 3 locations, 3 shooting episodes, 6 people shot, 5 died. Those 5 were all Afghan nationals, all polio vaccinators, shot dead June 15, 2021. 1 wounded, survived. We're not asked to do the dangerous work. Our request, the request to us, is to do the safe thing, to do the easy thing, and to contribute money. Our ask is that you contribute money to the Beaumont Rotary Club Foundation designated polio. And you can do that with Marco Polio Pig back here, or Roger, wherever he went. He would love to take the money. Or you can give it to Jackie or me or Brad. We'll make sure it gets to the right place. If the donation is given this month, before the last meeting of this month, it will be matched 2 to 1 by somebody who's agreed to do that. We need $1,000 because we got $2,000 worth of matching funds we can tap if we get the $1,000. If the folks here in the room would each donate the cost of taking Roger to dinner one night, okay? And the folks on Zoom would do the same, we'd blast that out of the water. So I'm asking you, please, give today, give to the Beaumont Rotary Club Foundation, designated for polio. Every dollar you give becomes $3, $1,000 becomes $3,000, and let's get her done. Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds like a great deal. Do I give to polio or take Roger to dinner? To talk to us about community service projects. Sorry to hold you up, John Lee.
Good afternoon. This Saturday at 8 o'clock at Sleep in Heavenly Peace, we are going to be meeting and then going out and delivering beds to kids that don't have them. We do need people with trucks. Please, if you're planning on coming out, I would like you to access your Rotarygram and go into the link there and sign up on the Sign Up Genius. We're trying to figure out how many teams we're going to have. And again, this is a joint project between the Rotary Club of Beaumont, the Rotary Club of Port Arthur, 100 Black Men of Greater Beaumont, and Lamar Rotaract Club. We are hoping to have a minimum of 10 teams. There are about 35 beds that need to be delivered, so we want to get those out there and get them done. So you can either sign up on the Sign Up Genius or feel free to contact me at the meeting or give me a call. But we are trying to get that done in advance so we can let them know what's going on. So hope to see you Saturday morning. This does not take construction expertise or anything else. It is very easy. It is not super labor intensive. But we do encourage those of you that have trucks and you're planning on being there, please let me know so that we can make sure that we get the teams spread out. Saturday morning, 2950 Milam. It's the corner of 4th and Milam, 8 o'clock. You'll be done by 11 or so, and it is for a great cause. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I'll be there. My wife, Debbie, will be there to speak to us about a Vocational Excellence Award, Lynn Hill.
Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. This is getting us ready for one of our favorite days, our Vocational Excellence Awards. And that's where we recognize people in our community who have exemplified service above self with their vocations. So in order for us to be able to recognize them, we need nominations from you. Okay, so hairdressers, barbers, seamstress, anyone, I think that was my favorite day the first year that I was a member, and we honored the crossing guard. So anyone in the community that has exemplified service above self in their vocation, at the back of the room, or if you don't want to walk to the back, I will bring you one. We have forms that you need to fill out. Next Wednesday, the 27th, is the last day for us to be able to accept the form so we can go through to decide who gets the award. The presentation for the honorees will be November 17th. So please, and also we had some who were nominated before because we could not have it due to COVID. So if you did nominate before, please renominate, because we have had people leave the community and unfortunately pass away. So please renominate. And if you know someone, nominate. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. My hairdresser doesn't want to be associated with me for any reason. But to speak to us about Rotary After Hours, Amanda Ellis.
Here's another cheer. Okay. Ready? Okay. 2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits, $1. All for Rotary After Hours. Stand up and holler. Now that I have your attention, please join all of us hollering at the 4th Rotary After Hours of 2021 at the home of Sharon Kirksey and Leonard Junker. The location is at 165 Ridgeland. We will have savory snacks, wine, and beer. Come for the fellowship and fun. It's going to be on October 28th, which is next Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Josh Smith is on his way to the podium to talk to us about activity opportunity at Martin Elementary. Josh?
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. So right after you go to Rotary After Hours, the next day, Martin Elementary is going to be having their fall festival, October 29th. They are asking for some volunteers and also some donations. We offered to give them all the chocolate-covered crickets they could take, but they requested maybe we ask the Rotary members to bring some real candy. So if you could bring candy, if you could bring cases of water, anything like that would be great. They're also looking for volunteers from 8:30 until about 2:55 that day. and there'll be about a 35-minute break in the middle of that. So if you have any interest in bringing Halloween candy, water, see me, see Lynn Hill, or see Jackie, and we'll get that taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Now to introduce our guest speaker, Dana Tomeas, Managing Partner, the Tomeas Law Firm.
3 seconds this time? Okay, good. Well, you know, I can't imagine how many times Joe's had people walk up to him and say, "You're not from around here, are you, boy?" But I can't imagine Beaumont without Joe Majdalani, because he got here shortly after I did from moving in from mid-county. He moved in from someplace else. Originally dropped into Lafayette, Louisiana, got his bachelor's degree and master's degree in civil engineering from University of Louisiana, Lafayette. Decided he was going to wander the country for a while. I think we worked in Illinois, and then California, and he worked in Louisiana. He ended up in Beaumont, married a great lady, Kathy. Had 3 daughters about the same time we had ours. He had Christina and Crystal and Carolyn. And so we ended up seeing each other at birthday parties and sleepovers and stuff like that. It was, kind of awkward deal with dads and daughters in those days. When I met him, he was working on his doctoral degree from Lamar University in engineering, which he got. He's certified as professional engineer, I think, in Louisiana, California, and Texas. When I met him, he was working with the city, he ended up in the water department, heading up the water department. Big project for him there that I heard about was rebuilding a water system, putting in new lines. And if I remember right, we were losing something like 30% of our water into the dirt. And, and so he needed fixing. And so in the middle of all of that, you worked on that fairly well, got kind of close to the end, but I think you got enticed away just before that finished up. He ended up going over to Houston, working in the wastewater department in Houston, where he became an assistant director there. He was supervising maybe 600 people and did a good job for him. About 10 years ago, there was upheaval in Beaumont, a little bit of unhappiness and personnel turnover and all kinds of disruption. And he was enticed to come back to Beaumont and went into public works, eventually became director of public works. And he had all these other projects going on. He had the water still, he was working on drainage. My favorite, the one I heard about most often, and I saw him fade a lot of heat in some public meetings, was the street rotation, the street paving rotation, where he'd reallocated the allocation for street paving into a rotation. Some part of the town got a street, and it rotated around the town so that everybody's neighborhood, everybody's area got streets. You may not get it on your street, but your street's on the list, and everything's moving around and everything was handled fairly. And then a couple of years ago, just under 2 years ago, there was another disturbance in the force, a disruption and unhappiness and personnel turnovers. And Joe was enticed away to Drainage District 6, where he's director now. You'll see, he's one of these guys who has a hard time calming down. He's driven, he's good, he excels, he performs well. People make demands of him because they know he can deliver. And every now and then we ought to say, Joe, we demand a lot of you, but we appreciate you. Thank you. And so I ask you to show some appreciation, give a good Rotary welcome to my friend, Joe Majdalani.
Thank you, Dana. Good afternoon. I'm honored to be here among friends and colleagues. I want to give you overview and updates on what did we do at Jefferson County Drainage District number 6. The district was established in 1920. That's over 100 years, mainly to serve the ranchers and farmers and minimize the risk of flooding in Jefferson County. And our boundaries grew over the years. Today, we cover over 500 square miles. That's a large area. To put it in perspective, Houston is 669 miles, 669 square miles. Thanks. Our mission at DD6 is to come out with a plan to minimize the risk of flooding, implement the plan, and maintain the infrastructure that support this plan. The three main pillars: the assets, the maintenance, and the projects. And I'm going to address each item. We have over 600 miles of over 1,075 miles of ditches in Jefferson County that drain Jefferson County to the Gulf of Mexico. We also have over 40 detention basins spread district-wide, range in size from 5 acres to 5,400 acres. That's a large retention basin. Mainly during heavy rains, unusual rain events, hold the water and release it at later date to minimize the risk of flooding. We also have over 80 alert stations positioned across the district. And this component of the asset is extremely important. Mainly, it collects information on rain events, intensity, collect pressure, temperature, water level, wind speed, and also the pressure in the atmosphere. Why this information is important? It's utilized by NOAA, National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, utilized by TxDOT, Highway Department, the emergency centers, by engineers, mainly to improve the design of the drainage system. Because the intensity is increasing, the frequency is changing. Just give you an example, the design criteria for 100-year flood over 24 hours is it used to be 13 inches. So you receive 13 inches of rain over 24 hours. Today is 18 inches. Global warming is real, and it's going to continue to increase as time go by. 18 inches, it's roughly 33% increase. It's substantial. Can the system handle it? No. What can be done? I'm going to expand on it in a minute. That's why you see all this detention basin, all these major diversion projects to the Neches River and some other areas. The expansion and the upgrade to the alert system was at $1.1 million. It's a lot of money, but it's well spent. We added 5 more stations because we felt that we have gaps in between the existing alert system. Do we have challenges in Jefferson County? You bet. Let's start with the service area. 500 square miles. It's a lot of service area. Our boundaries from Pine Island Bayou to the north, all the way in our coastal canal, Gulf of Mexico, to the east, the Neches River, to the west, all the way to Winnie. That's a large area. In between, we have DD7 and DD3. I'm going to expand on this, their service area too. To move water, you have to have energy. So our terrain here is flat. East to west, there's no change in elevation. North to south, it's few feet. So how do you move water to the Gulf of Mexico? That's a big challenge. The high intensity, you've seen the intensity, 100-year is 18 inches. May 17, we had 16 inches in 12 hours. There's no system can handle this. It's not feasible to design a system to handle 16 inches in 24 hours, in 12 hours. It's a very complex system. It's aging infrastructure. Like I mentioned, most of the ditches, natural ditches. There's some man-made ditches, but most of it's natural. Water will find the easy way out and it carve the path. We have limited access, which make the maintenance program very hard. Also, we have man-made obstacles. You see the new freeways, they raise the freeways, railroad tracks, they create dam between areas. And to process permit and to deal with these agencies, I'm not picking on any of the agencies, but these are facts. To process permits, it takes a while, and it's very costly to cross these. For example, water canals, roadways, bridges, and so far, so on. On this, let me. I went a little too far. I don't know why. Can you help me? This is not working. Can you? I want to go back a few slides if you don't mind. Keep going. Okay. If you look on the top right-hand corner, you can see the flow charts right here. You can see the average rainfall is 59 inches. And in 2017, 18, 19, you can see we exceeded our annual rainfall. We have almost 30, 40% than the annual rainfall. When you have this much rain, it's hard to manage. Our service area is 502 square miles, over 50% of Jefferson County. Jefferson County is 988 square miles, compared to Houston is 669. Just give you, so you can see how large the area. Jefferson County is served by 3 districts, DD6, DD7, and DD3. DD6 have 502 square miles. Our budget, operating budget annual is 22.5 million. DD7, 113 square miles. Their operating budget is 33.4. Why the difference? You can see we have a larger area. Our budget less. Our tax base is less. The entire system at DD6 is a gravity system. DD7, every drop of rain falls on DD7 has to be pumped out. So they rely heavily on pumps. The cost of energy and the maintenance of the pumps, that's what drives the cost of their budget. DD3 is much smaller, 74 square miles, and their budget is around $600,000. You also can see the lower area, this marshland. It's no man's land, and there's no authority at this time. Maybe in the future if it develops, which I doubt so. Well, how do we maintain optimum drainage system performance? You have very large area and limited budget, and the system is growing. How do you maintain this? So the drainage ditches has to be maintained to allow the free flow of water. So we mow the ditches to establish vegetation so you can stabilize the banks of the ditches. Otherwise, you're going to have a sloughing. You have brushes and trees grow in the middle of the ditch. You have to remove it. We utilize slash busting. These are big machines. They remove the trees and grind them. Also, we utilize herbicide for some areas, mainly the remote areas, to control vegetation. The drift control mainly is to ensure that the system is free of any debris, so water can flow freely. Sorry. The dredging operation is mainly to remove any sediment at the bottom of the ditch. Over a period of time, you end up with sediment that impede the flow of water, so it has to be removed. The large area, we have to divide it into 4 sections. We have to have systematic approach to be able to control and monitor the mowing process. All mowing activities are tracked by a GPS system to monitor progress. In the past, it was very hard for us to ensure that every ditch has been maintained, every detention pond has been maintained properly. Today, with the GPS system, all the equipment equipped with GPS, you can track when the equipment leave and get to the site, and the path and how often. It's all stored in a computer system. A customer complains that ditch 500 has not been mowed. You go on the system, yes, sir, it was mowed twice, and so far, so on. So everything is tracked. We use different color for scheduling, and so we can see the how everything is progressing. This is something new. We just implemented this. We don't have the full data yet. It has to take a full cycle so we can capture the data. So it's in progress. The mowing schedule, it starts the first week in April and it ends in mid-December. Our commitment is to mow twice a year inside the urban area, and also twice a year cut the top of the levees in the urban and the remote area, and the bottom of the ditches maybe once a year. Because of the systematic approach we have today, allow us to mow 4 times a year with the same budget, slight increase in fuel, but twice a year, it's 4 times a year is a great progress. It improved the stability of the banks and allow the water to flow freely, and also minimize the customer complaints. My ditch has 4 feet of grass in it when you're gonna mow it next. So this is the frequency, so everybody knows. It's a large area, 500 square miles to mow with limited budget. We try to keep our tax base low as much as we can. We also utilize ground herbicide applications, again, for the remote area. And this can be accomplished with 2 crews. We have licensed people to apply for their safety and safety of the public. We also recently introduced a new piece of equipment, the Marsh Master. It's a unique piece of equipment, allow us to get anywhere in the district and where traditional equipment cannot get to these locations, especially in the marshland. And it's aluminum, it's very light and equipped with a rig, spray rig. So again, it can go to narrow right away, drive in the bottom of the ditches. It's a great addition to our fleet. Because the area is so large and so remote, we also utilize aerial herbicide applications. You can see at the bottom of the screen a narrow strip along the side of the ditches. Mainly the aerial herbicide to target brush, cane, and lilies that impede the flow of the water without affecting the wildlife. We do it once a year and sometimes twice a year based on the vegetation growth. If we have too much rain, too much high temperature, this will accelerate the growth of the vegetation. Measure taken prior to storm events. Because it's a large system, we have remote areas. We have 11 crew members. They have specific area and they visit all these areas right before the storm event. Typically, the inspection and the work is done on a regular basis, year round. But this task force to ensure all crossings are free of debris. You don't want to have a bottleneck somewhere, choke the system, and back up everything. Verify all water control structures are in good working conditions. You see all these detention ponds, there's inlets and outlets. So we make sure all the control structure in good shape, because if you put too much water, you're gonna flood people downstream. These are mechanical equipment, can fail at any given time. So we keep good eye on it. And also, this is extremely important. We mobilize and stage equipment in strategic areas throughout DD6 service area. So before the storm, we move equipment all over the county. In case of emergency during the storm or after the storm, we should be able to respond immediately and get to the site timely to address it. It happened before. One of the levees almost failed and created a disaster. So we're able to jump within minutes and do the repair and prevent this from happening. We also assist other cities, Nome and China and some other communities where they don't have, some of them do not have the large equipment. I want to touch base on this dredging equipment. Some of the channels we have, they 300 feet wide. That's 300. Can you imagine 300-foot ditch? These are massive, 10 feet deep. A lot of water go through it. You end up with sediment in the bottom of the ditch. Can't just have a shovel and so we utilize these drag lines. These are $2-3 million each piece of equipment. The 60-foot boom for smaller ditches and 80-foot boom for the large ditches. Within DD6, we have a maintenance department that maintain the fleet. We have over 100 large pieces of equipment from dozer and trackers and backhoes and crane and all the stuff. Our mechanic shop, we have tire shop, mechanic shop, maintain all this equipment at DD6. These large equipment require maintenance of the track. So we break the tracks down and replace it. And you can see the equipment always clean and well presented to the public. So these drag lines, they do excellent job. Mainly they remove sediment from the bottom of the ditch, and I'm talking about large amount of sediment. I touched base earlier on this Marshmaster. This is a new asset, was added to the fleet. It's around $150,000 each, aluminum, light. A lot of drainage ditches we inherited in the past, very narrow, and you can't get to it, limited right away. They build houses all the way to the ditch. And to utilize just manpower on the ground, it's extremely expensive. And it doesn't make sense. So we utilize this piece of equipment to go at the bottom of the ditch and do its job, handle it. Mainly where you have limited narrow right-of-way, wet areas, bottom detention basins, ditch bottoms. We have one, and the staff like it, and it's proven very effective. We ordered another piece of equipment. All this work cannot be done without our engineering staff. Our engineering staff, we have licensed professional engineers. We have two, and including me is three. And we have licensed land surveyors. So we have state-of-the-art engineering department, utilize great programs. You have to give them the tools, the right tools to do a good job. And they do the planning, the execution of the project, design, so far, so on. And this will save the district lots of money when you do it in-house. And also, whenever you apply for a grant, we don't have much time. They say you have 60 days to submit your application. Well, we don't have 60 days. So to solicit for services, so far, so on. We had direction from our board president and board members to have shovel-ready projects. So we spent a lot of time investigating the problems and design project shovel-ready. So whenever we have chance to apply for a grant, we have most of the legwork already done. So it's to change a few numbers, dates, and submit these applications. And just to give you a hint, since 2003, we secure over $150 million of grants and executed the project within budget and on time. Also, we have surveying department that handle our right-of-way. I mentioned earlier we have 1,075 miles of ditches. We only have right-of-way on around maybe 65% of it. The remaining 35%, we do not have right-of-way. People call and complain, when you're gonna mow my ditch? I cannot mow your ditch. I have no permission or right-of-way to access the ditch. If you give me right-of-way, I should be able to mow it. So Over the last year, we secured over 135 miles of new right-of-way at almost zero cost. They may require fencing and clearing. It is part of the process. So we secured over 130 miles of right-of-way. That's why we had to buy additional equipment to maintain it and address it. So the engineering department, it's a state of the art. They do an excellent job. Now, I want to move to the grants and the projects. That's probably pretty interesting to you. The district over the last 6-8 months secured $8.5 million grants. This district share, our share, local share, is $2.15 million. That's DD6 money, $2.15 million. This project right here, never done in the history of DD6. This is to study the 3 major watersheds within Drainage District 6, Helper Bayou, Taylor Bayou, Pine Island Bayou. We suspect after unusual rain event, we get water from Liberty County and from Hardin County invade our area, which put a lot of pressure into our system. So we're studying this to validate this and come out with a solution. The study is a 2-year study, and we hired the 3 engineering companies, the top-notch companies in the country. And when this project is complete, this will be the roadway for the future. So we can plan a project, budget project, and execute them. As I mentioned earlier, our budget's only $22 million. Can't do projects. So we have to rely heavily on grants. Right after Harvey, we have a grant department. Our staff, they applied for 5 grants, and all of them were approved and funded. 3 of them under construction as we speak, the one in red. The yellow one has been completed. All 4 projects in city of Beaumont. The project at the bottom is in China, and project has been approved. We are waiting on a contract from FEMA. We expect this contract any day. As soon as we receive it, we'll go to work. This is a lot of money, and it's going to do a lot of good. These projects can respond to the flooding from Harvey. Another project is the alert system upgrade. As I mentioned earlier, this system track the intensity of the rain, the volume, wind speed, so far, so on. We expanded the scope of the project. We end up spending over $1.1 million. The grant was only $145,000. The rest of the money coming from DD6 budget. It is important. This is the heart of DD6. Every time we design a project, we utilize the data from, these are real data from actual rain events to calibrate our models. I'm going to go quickly over the project because I'm almost out of time here. Another project is regional watershed study. We're going a little too far. This one right here is a channel 100A. This channel between College and Washington. And to repair the broken concrete is almost $40 million. We applied for the grant, and the grant wasn't big enough. On the funding on the state was not, they did not have enough funding to fund this project. We're going to apply again for when the funds become available. Within City Beaumont, there's 34 miles of concrete line ditches. And it takes a lot of money to maintain these ditches. Another grant application, you can see there's 3 of them. These are in the county, some in China, some in Fayette, and some in Nome area. These projects were chosen. We got a phone call from Texas Water Development Board, and hopefully they get approved and we should go to construction soon. One more project is hazard mitigation plan. The hazard mitigation plan is, in order to apply for a grant, you have to have a plan in place. And this hazard mitigation plan has to be updated on annual basis. That's what's that for. Next slide is we have 5 projects. These are major projects in a $100 million tag. We applied for a grant. You heard about $2 billion, and we did not make the cut. the first time because money went somewhere else. Beaumont, Jefferson County did not receive any. Houston did not receive any. The second round, the $2 billion, 750 million earmarked for Houston. This will leave us with 250 million for the rest of the state of Texas. And we're hoping we'll get some money for one of these projects. We have contacted our elected officials and hopefully they should be able to help us. One couple more projects right here under design. This is money coming from Jefferson County. Judge Brannick was very generous to give us this money. These three projects under design. The one at the bottom is Highway 124 over Taylor's Bayou. We're going to open the span of the bridge to allow more water under the bridge. In summary, the grant program is critical for funding major projects. The newly created systematic maintenance program tracked by GPS, it's very effective and has proven it's working, which allow us to restore any lost capacity of our system. It's cheaper to maintain a system than build a new system. Expanding the maintenance program for concrete and earthen ditches. We completed the survey of our concrete line ditches. Now we into the earthen ditches. You have to establish a baseline so you can better manage your grant and your project. And the last one is the citizen complaints have been substantially reduced. And this is a testament to our dedicated staff that work hard to minimize risk of flooding. And the last slide is just we have informative website. We recently upgraded our website. There's interactive maps on if you want to know where your area drained to what ditch, where did it end up, Nature's River or Gulf of Mexico, it tells you. So you can pick up the phone and let us know if it needs maintenance. Real-time data, rainfall events, and there are lists on ongoing projects so far, so on. Feel free to contact us at 842-1818 if you have any issues or if you have any suggestions. I'm sorry we tried to squeeze it in very short time. A lot of information. Any questions? Do we have time for a question?
Well, I believe that I know you have some questions for Joe, and you can find him after we adjourn the meeting because I've got a few myself. And if we have a rain event like we had in 2017, I found the website is very useful to see where all that rain is collected. And Tyler County can have their water. Keep it to themselves. Thank you, Joe, for being with us today. To express our appreciation for you, we made a donation to the Rotary Foundation, the emphasis on water and sanitation. Thank you for being here. And thank you for bringing Josh Allen to our meeting. Get that man an application. He's to return to membership in Rotary Club of Beaumont. We miss you. Looking ahead, our next week, our speaker will be Eric Stromberg. He's the executive director of the Lamar University for Advances in Port Management. Remember the Vocational Excellence Award you just heard from on your table. I believe that you have a form to submit your nomination for that. The deadline is October 27th. See Josh Smith or Lynn Hill if you can help at the Martin Elementary Halloween Festival. Thank you to our guests who joined us today. Thank you for Rotarians who invited them. Remember our theme of the year, everyone bring one. And those who sponsor a new member this Rotary year will join the President's Club and be entitled to all the privileges that come with that, including a year-end celebration dinner on me. So thank you, Gig and Virtue, Dee, for sitting at the head table with us. Please, you all stand up and say the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, second, third, and fourth. Have a good week and serve to change lives.